We'll get the public safety meeting started.
Is
do
Oswaldo
start-
ready?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, first up is public defender.
All right. Thank you, Chairman, committee members. First on my agenda is I have two resolution requests. And the first one is granting permission to the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to accept distribution 11 contract in the annual amount of $101,162 over a 3-year period from the Indigent Legal Services. And this would authorize the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to sign the contract. This award would pay, or grant would pay for a full-time clerk typist that we currently have that's being paid under Distribution 8, as well as part of the salary of one of my full-time assistant public defenders. And we also provide for funding for expert witnesses if we needed them at future trials, as well as incidental operational expenses, such as paper, copiers, stuff like that.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second it. Morel.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. And the second resolution is a request granting permission to the chairman of Columbia County Board of Supervisors to sign the yearly contract with the New York State Defenders Association for our case management system utilized by the Columbia County Public Defender's Office. And this is basically the database that we have that we use to create files, keep records of all of our clients that apply for representation. And it's also utilized for us to run conflict checks to make sure we're not signing people up that there's some sort of conflict that we shouldn't be representing them. This is fully funded under the Hurl Herring grant, and we currently have it now.
I'll move it. Bury.
I'll second Hotline.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. And then lastly, just the monthly reports. Once again, like last month, our applications are down. We have a total of 78 this past month of February. It's a 52% decrease from last year this month. Again, that's reflective of the fact that the local courts for the month of February were almost, other than one or two, completely closed. The local courts, I would say the majority of local courts have just begun to open over the last 2 weeks here in March. So I would expect those numbers to start trending up. And we have a total of 1,374 open cases. In regards to our arraignment numbers, again, this is reflective of the fact that the courts were closed. Myself and my staff, during normal operating hours, we did 17 arraignments, and then the off-hour CAFA attorneys also likewise did 17. And that is all I have to report. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
Next up, fire coordinator.
Good afternoon, folks.
Hello.
So the first thing I got up is a financial resolution just to transfer some funds. We need to replace our textbooks that we use for 3 or 4 different classes. We have to do this about every 4 or 5 years. So I just need to transfer some money around to be able to cover the cost of the 50 textbooks we need.
I'll move the resolution. Hotline.
Second, Morel.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. The rest is just an activity report for January and February for the office. It's pretty self-explanatory. We responded to 11 structure fires, a couple of hazmat calls, a CNO call in the town of Gallatin, and we helped OFPC with a fatal investigation in Hudson. And then just gives an update on our vaccines. And as of today, we're probably closer to 350 than 300. And we continue to conduct weekly audits of the fire service to make sure we've got manpower enough. And that's been holding pretty good. So next up is just a training facility update. The classes we have scheduled between now and July, and they're all full, and we have a waiting list for all of them now. Since I did this report a couple days ago, all classes have filled up, and we have a waiting list for everything now for additional classes. So that's good.
Awesome.
Making good use of the training facility, and we're filling it up with members.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? In terms of the vaccines for firemen, they're all aware now that there's basically open enrollment and they can sign up.
Yeah. I share that with them once a week, and
Okay.
this week I've been sharing it with them a couple days because they've had the extra clinics scheduled. So, matter of fact, I just sent some out again today to some folks that have been lagging behind a little on vaccinations.
Okay, because they're doing 500 on Saturday.
Yep. We sent that announcement out again this morning. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thanks, George.
Thank you.
911.
Good evening, everyone. I have a resolution request to accept the 2019-2020 Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant for a total of $6,465. The grant funds are $5,172 with a local match of 20%, which is $1,293, and dispersed in accordance with the State Homeland Security and Emergency Services guidelines. We are requesting the budget for 2021, and the grant funds are being utilized to hire a consultant to conduct training with the hazmat team and a few additional first responders on the equipment that we have.
I'll move it, Fury.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Oh, Jeannie.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And the only other thing I have is our data for February of 2021. Our call volume, that's incoming calls, 29 was 3,151 calls. We dispatched 1,041 EMS agencies, 304 fire agencies, 1,501 police polls, and 344 public service calls. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Rob? Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Sheriff.
Good evening, everyone. I'll go in order that we have on the agenda. There you go, thanks. The first personnel resolution, I'm requesting authorization to fill a vacant and budgeted position of undersheriff with any backfills going along with that. Undersheriff Davies retiring in approximately 24 or 25 days.
I'll move the resolution. Hotline.
Unseconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Chairman Benvenuto, would it be okay if I ask Sheriff Bartlett a question before we get to this resolution?
Sure. Okay by me.
Is that okay? So Sheriff Bartlett, at the budget meeting, I approved this resolution, and then I had a few residents reach out to me and say, well, what is that minimum staffing level that was allowed by the state? And what, you talked about the population in the jail going up. At what level does that population require more staffing? I don't need it all off your head right now. I'm wondering if this subcommittee could get a report as to what the current, I believe the state gave you authorization temporarily to lower that mandatory staffing level. And we as a board talked about getting there by attrition. My understanding is that we've gotten there. So now any corrections vacancy will be refilled. But is there a way you can break down for us so that when residents ask me, as opposed to just, yes, we're at minimum staffing, what is the current minimum staffing level that the state has allowed us to have? What is the threshold when the jail population goes over a certain amount that we need to increase the staffing, and by how many? Just kind of an overview so we can understand that better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a Cliff Note version real quick on it is Commissioner Riley, when I spoke to Alan, he allowed me to reduce the midnight shift by 1, the day shift by 2, and the 3 to 11 shift by 3. Because we were down inmate population wise, we were down in the 20s. That, closes our central area. It closes a whole bunch of different areas. So we only have to basically keep it on a fire watch. Believe it or not, inmate population is starting to go up. We were in the mid 40s the other day with possibly having to open central due to COVID quarantines, not inmates having it. Knock on wood, we haven't had any. But people going to downstate, they need to be quarantined before they go downstate. So our minimum staffing has always been set where it is. Commissioner Riley allowed me for the time being to reduce those bodies down, which we did. But again, if staffing goes back up, then we're going to have to fill those positions.
So there wasn't when it reaches this level, then it was just for now, you can go down and then.
Correct. I know Captain Gardner has always had a magic level of 50. If we get into the 50s again, and even right now, he's concerned with the level right now being up in the mid 40s. And again, having state ready inmates having to go into central and having them quarantined before they go downstate. He requested the other day to me to say, Sheriff, is there any way out of the 5 that we were able to knock back in the beginning of COVID, can we get 2 of those back? And if we start having to run with more overtime, if we get more inmates, I'll come to you as a committee and request that we put those positions back into play.
And my last question is it possible to look at who we're holding for other, for other jails or other organizations, and if it's going to come above a certain threshold, the money we're getting from them might not actually equate to us needing to pay for increased staffing. And are we allowed to then say, no, thank you, we're not going to house your inmates because the cost to us to add 2 more staff members is more than what we're bringing in from the revenue you're giving us? Is that something we have the authority to say no?
Yeah, we can always say no. Unfortunately, right now, the only ones we're getting are marshals. Any other jails, they're low staff too. They're low population also. So we aren't getting any boarded ins like we used to.
Okay.
And the only reason we're getting marshals is because we know a few people up in there and they've been shipping people down so we can hold some prisoners down here for them.
So what is hi, how you doing, Sheriff?
Hey, Jeannie, how are you? Supervisor
okay.
Mettler, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no problem. So what is the ratio when you say the numbers are up? Are those local arrests are up, or is it the number of out of county prisoners is up?
No out of county prisoners, it's local arrests. And even still now with the way bail reform was and is, we arrested a guy last night with three class B felonies. He got released.
Really?
Yeah, dangerous drugs, fentanyl, and he got released. So
okay, but when you say the Marshall cases, those are, when you consider those are out of county?
They're out of county. Yeah, they're federal Marshall cases. Yes, ma'am.
So how many would be out of?
I don't have that. I would have to look at our out of. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what all that meant.
Yeah, so U.S. Marshals for February of 2021, The only people that had anybody in was the marshals, and it was $5,040.
And how many prisoners would that
I
be?
would have to ask the captain on
But
that.
something like 10 or something like 5 or?
I would have to ask the captain. I don't have the slightest clue
Yeah.
how many inmates that is. I could get that to you.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay,
It's usually so much a day, right, Sheriff?
absolutely. It is
There's
so
a
much a
rate.
day, and I'm not sure what the going rate is for the marshals off the top of my head.
Yeah, Sheriff, if you could have them break that down for us and then, just put in there what triggers, what's the next number that triggers an increase in COs from what it is now.
Yes, sir. I'll have that for you tomorrow. I'll get it out to public safety tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So our next personnel resolution is a request to fill a vacant correctional officer position. This is still below that 5. I had one gentleman that was reachable for a road position, and he's going to be starting. He actually did start, so we need to backfill this correction officer position. And with that being said, I'd also like to thank Fire Coordinator Keeler for allowing us to use the training academy, the fire training academy, because we're actually putting together a full-time police academy up there during the day, just trying to get these young men and women certified so we can get them out on the road here in Columbia County. So thank you, George.
No problem, Sheriff.
I'll make the motion, Buren.
I'll second it, Morel.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The last resolution I have is the purchase of 3 patrol cars with 3 MDTs, the mobile data terminals, and related equipment. These patrol cars will be used for patrol on the street. They're marked patrol cars.
So this is
I assume that's
budgeted,
budgeted.
yes?
Oh, sorry.
This is budgeted, Sheriff?
Yes, sir. This is down from our original between 6 and 7 cars that we usually get on a yearly basis. I'm actually having to purchase a car using some asset money, which I have to do because I've got to get another car. The cars are falling out from under the guys and girls' feet. So 3 is a very small amount, and it is budgeted and approved.
I'll move it, Buren.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And again, out of county, we touched, all we had was U.S. Marshals out of Northern Division of $5,040 for a whopping total of $10,620. Much different from a couple years ago. Thank you, everybody.
Okay,
Chairman Benvenuto, can I ask Sheriff Bartlett another question that's not about a resolution?
another one? Come on.
I know. A couple of questions. I just wanted to check in to make sure I understood. I thought I heard you say maybe at the public hearing or one of the PRP meetings that you have body cameras, but you are not utilizing them until the policy is in place, adopted. Is that accurate, or are you using them currently?
Currently, we have ones that we were still testing through Axon that are on the streets. That's an interesting dilemma that we need to actually speak about. And I don't know if we want to get into it here or we have another meeting another time. Because the software programming is going to be happening a week and a half, like 2 weeks from now. So they will be ready to go on the streets. So the dilemma is, do I immediately put in the New York State DCJS body camera policy that's approved by the state, and then we tweak it here at a later time? Or do I leave the body cameras off the streets? But then if we have an incident on the streets while we have the body cameras and we don't have them out there, then there's going to be questions why we didn't have them on the streets. I'm sort of leaning right now of putting them out using the DCJS model policy, which also mirrors our in-car camera policy that we've been utilizing for, well, since I became sheriff and started putting the in-car cameras in. And then we can tweak the DCJS model policy to whatever we want to tweak it in the subcommittee, as we were calling it. After that. But that's something I guess we can talk about. My concern again is, and I've seen it in my career, where we've had the equipment, or we've looked at the equipment and then we've needed the equipment and we didn't have it out there. So if we did have an incident, I think that it's important to have those cameras out ASAP. And again, you're looking at about 10 to 14 days when the software is going to be all uploaded and ready to go. They're coming in from Axon the following week.
I believe in the police reform policy that, or not the policy, the plan that we developed. We said that we would have the policy developed prior to the cameras hitting the street. There's no, even if it's the DCGS policy as an interim policy, I think we should have a special meeting to be able to review and approve as you know, obviously the sheriff's department has a say in this, but I think that the public safety committee should take a look at it. Or even if you can get the model policy to everyone in advance, and then we can have a meeting to discuss it.
Yeah, why don't I do that? I'll have the model policy from DCJS forwarded to everybody on the public safety committee. You can review it and then we'll go from there. Again, it's the same one that's overseen as far as accreditation, and it's the one we've been currently using with our in-car camera systems.
Is everyone all right with that?
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I'll have it to you tomorrow.
And my other
Thank you.
related question, I think, is more for the chairman on the timing of creating said implementation committee. I hear for now, we as a public safety committee will look at the camera policy, but do we have a timeline of when we're going to get going on the implementation committee?
Well, I will say that we haven't even sent the plan to the state yet. So once, and they have to, or they have to approve it. I think the timeline would probably be by the next public safety meeting, we should have some recommendations.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Supervisor Holding, we can talk in advance.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to send this DCJS policy out to the committee tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else?
That's all
Okay.
I have.
All right, thanks, Sheriff. Probation.
Good evening again, everyone. Only thing I have is circling back with the 2020 annual report that was submitted last month for review and approval.
Did anybody have any questions regarding that report? Okay.
Do we have
We
to?
want to have a motion to approve the report or accept the report?
I'll make a motion. Or I'm sorry, go ahead, Supervisor.
I have to admit that I can't remember exactly what it said. But I know that when I read it, I was impressed and thought it was interesting and it was impressive, and I would move that we adopted it this time.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Vince.
That's all we have, Chairman.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? My meatloaf's just about done.
Meatloaf? It's St. Patrick's Day. What's with the meatloaf?
See, that's what I
You're
say.
yelling at me for that.
Ay, ay, ay. I'm going to get corned beef right now.
He's Italian. What do you want?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Enjoy your meatloaf,
Everyone.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.